This method is not the repeating method. You can create repeating invoices in Xero, and you can do so on a regular cadence. However, you may not want to automatically create invoices for a particular client, let's say on a monthly basis. Instead, maybe you just have an existing invoice and you just want to take that and copy that over to another invoice you can send to maybe a different customer. So I'm going to show you how to do that in this video. So on the invoices screen, a couple different ways you can do this. You can do so either by going over to one of your invoices, find the one that you'd like. I'm just going to head over to the paid tab for now. And let's take a quick look at this invoice here that we've sent over, invoice number 33, that we sent over on April 12th, 2024. So this one's already been paid. And we're just going to take a look at the elements of this invoice. So we've got the invoice number here, we've got a reference number, we've got the items and the descriptions of the different services or products that we're selling as a part of this invoice. So in this case, we've got a book that we've sold for almost $20. We've also got project management and implementation. It's a branding workshop that we've sold and held with their team. So let's, instead of recreating this invoice from scratch, we can just copy this over to a new invoice, make some tweaks, and then send it out. So on this screen, we're able to go to the overflow menu up in the top right-hand corner, and then we can copy this to a draft invoice. So all it's going to do is it's going to create a draft invoice for us with the same information as that last invoice. The only difference being now you can enter in a new customer for this. So that maybe we want to send this to ABC Furniture instead. The issue date is going to be today's date, and then the due date will default to 14 days out. You can change this if you'd like. The invoice number will be the next invoice number in the sequence. And then the reference number doesn't change. So if this still applies, feel free to keep it. If not, go ahead and change it. The branding theme should be the same. The tax settings should also be your default settings. If this doesn't apply, you can change that here. And then you see the items carry over from the last invoice to this one as well. So here's that book, and here's that implementation for the branding workshop. Okay, just review and make sure that your sales tax on these items are correct. And then just like any other invoice that you want to send out, you can either save and close and submit this for approval if you have approval mechanisms in place. Someone else needs to review this before it can go out, or simply approve an email if you have the permissions just to send this out to this new client. So a really quick way to be able to do this, create a invoice based off of another invoice. A couple more things that I want to mention here. If we do go back to the invoices, and let's head over to the paid tab. Now we clicked into the invoice itself and then went into the overflow menu and then copied it over to an invoice. Now, we don't have to do that. We don't have to click in. So if we want to save ourselves one click, we can click on the invoice here on this screen and then simply just click copy to, and then we can create it for a new customer right here on the screen. Now, the last thing that I want to mention here is sometimes you have a scenario where you've sent out a couple of invoices to a client, and maybe one invoice was for product and one invoice was for services that you provided to that same client. Now, let's say that you want to combine the components of both of those invoices together. So how do you do that? You can actually select multiple invoices in Xero. So let's say that we wanted to combine this invoice along with this invoice. So we can select two invoices in Xero, click copy to, and then let's send this one to 24 locks. So we're going to copy it over to an invoice and click copy and merge. Now, what's cool about this is that not only is it going to bring over what we saw earlier, that book and the implementation branding workshop, but now we also have the elements of the other invoice that we selected. So the training, MS Office, session 1 and number 2, that's coming over as well. So we're combining those two invoices together. So a really neat way to grab different components of different invoices, pull them all together and merge them into a single invoice to send out real quick.